Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin. Still a lot of work to do. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Also, I just wanted to say thank you. We have now hit 2/3 of 1 million subscribers, so I do appreciate everyone subscribing. It does mean a lot. And hopefully not too much longer, and we will be at the magical million milestone. Okay. So again, go ahead and subscribe. We have no paid promotions here, no affiliate link, no AdSense, none of that stuff. So make sure you subscribe, show your support. Let's go ahead and jump in. So Bitcoin has had a bit of a bounce back this week. I mean, on the week, still nothing too crazy. We're up a very modest 5%. But when we're in a downtrend, of course, we'll take anything that we can get. And then the idea is that hopefully we can in fact break that downtrend, right? We'd like to break the downtrend, ideally speaking. Now, if you remember last week, we actually closed below the 50-week SMA. It's not too different than what happened earlier this summer where we closed, we're right on top of it. Then the following week, we got right back above it and we continued on our merry way. And so that would be the best case scenario for us to do this week if we could stay above it. Now we are above that 50-week SMA, and to stay above it, we need to stay above about 47.9K. All right. So, if we can close the week at 48K or above, we're above that 50-week moving average. Now, at the end of the day, it's just a moving average. They are lagging indicators, but we also do know that we really would like not to go below it, because if we go below it, then you potentially are dealing with the 50-week acting as resistance rather than a potential level of support, and then you have a whole different battle on your hands. So let's see what happens here. Now, this is an interesting level. If we look at this level, that we've been at this level in the past, this has been some level of support here in the past as well. Like there's definitely been a lot of price action going on at these levels. Historically speaking, we got rejected by it from right over here, and now we're sort of trying to hold on to it without dropping back down to these levels. So I would say this is a pretty important level, and we're trying to fight to see if we can close the year above 50K. I mean, it would be nice, I think, if Bitcoin, despite everything, could close the year above a very modest $50,000. And I mean, regardless of if we do that or not, I still think we're going to be set up pretty well going into 2022, and hopefully being able to conquer that $100,000 milestone. I always said I don't think Bitcoin's going to make it to 100K in 2021. I would argue that 2022 is a possibility, especially in line with the idea of lengthening cycles. So let's see what happens as we wrap up the year. We have just over about a week and a half or so to go. So we still got work to do, all right? And namely, we want to talk about those shorter term time frames, not to say that they're predictive in any way, because I don't think they are, but just to note that changes on the macro scale, on the daily time frame, well, let's say those changes on the monthly time frame start on the weekly, and if they're on the weekly before that, they're changing on the daily. Before that, they're changing on the hourly. You got to start somewhere. Now, on the lower time frame as you go, the less useful the analysis is. But one of the things we were looking at is that at least we broke the downtrend, right? At least we broke that temporary downtrend. Now, you can always zoom back a little bit further and maybe find another downtrend, that we still need to break, something like that. So you can see there is definitely some overhead resistance here, and that certainly breaking back up above $50,000 would look pretty bullish. But even then, we would still have a lot of work to do, even if we get above 50K. All right, so let's not be easy on ourselves and just say, oh, if we just go up a little bit more. No, we still have quite a bit of work to do. And in fact, right now we're looking at this prior resistance. Okay, so at least the downtrend is broken. This is where we were back in December 16th or so, the same area. So ideally, we'd like to get above this area and move higher. Now, if we go back to the weekly time frame. All right, and what we want to do is we want to overlay that 50-week SMA again, but more importantly, we want to throw in the bull market support band. Okay, so what needs to happen for Bitcoin to not feel so bearish? Yeah, and it's annoying, right? Because at least up until the last day or so, every micro pump was being sold. We'd see it pump up $1,000, $2,000, and it would instantly be sold off. Okay. What needs to happen for us to see confidence more confidence return, and where we could actually see some much better price action. Getting back above the 20-week SMA, the 21-week EMA. And again, those currently range from 51.5 up to 53K. So 51.5K up to $53,000, a range of about $1,500. Really, we'd like to be above $53,000. If we can get back above 53K, I would argue that the market looks really healthy. And especially if we can put weekly closes above the bull market support band. Remember though, a lot of times when the market at least temporarily turns bearish, it's not necessarily getting above the bull market support band that's hard. Sometimes it's actually holding it as support. Okay, so that'll be the real test yet again. But I would still argue we have a lot of support at levels lower than where we currently are. I mean, obviously there's 42K, which is more or less where that wick came to. All right, that first wick on that sell-off here. So there's 42K. There's also 40K, which is where we held the line at the bull market support band. These would be sort of more like the bearish scenario, but still could be macro bullish if we hold these levels in the event that we don't immediately break to above $50,000. And then of course below that, it would get a lot scarier, because then you're talking about potentially back down to the $30,000 level. So, we'll see what happens. I do think this is an interesting area, just because we're kind of getting squeezed a little bit between that 50-week moving average and then the 21-week EMA, and then maybe slightly the 20-week SMA. So Bitcoin, make no mistake about it, still has a lot of work to do. It's up 5% on the week, which is great, but it doesn't change the fact that on the, if you zoom out, it's still about 29% down. So Bitcoin's 29% down from the prior all-time high, but it's up 5% in the last week, which is nice, right? We have that going for us, which is nice. So let's be critical here. We know that Bitcoin, the overarching trend has still been down. Potentially we're breaking that trend on some smaller time frames, but we'd like to see that translate over to the weekly time frame and ultimately run higher. And remember, when you switch this over to, say, 2-month candles, it really does tell a completely different story that you will not get the same story on a shorter time frame. And namely, that there's just a lot of overhead resistance at around that $60,000 level. We came up to it earlier this year, got rejected. We came back up to it again, got rejected. Hopefully the third time is the charm, and we will be off to the races and hopefully prove the critics wrong and show that Bitcoin will in fact experience lengthening cycles. If you guys like the content, remember we do have the premium list at intothecryptoverse.com. Make sure you sign up. You can find a link to that in the description below. We also do have, with the premium list, you get access to a whole lot of stuff, weekly reports and videos, the Telegram alerts channel, the Telegram chat room. We also do have t-shirts and jackets, store.intothecryptoverse.com. So if you've been looking for something like that, make sure you check it out. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe, click the bell icon, turn on notifications, and I will see you next time. Bye.